Hey, it's Jennifer with Pigskins and Pigtails. Today I'm going to be showing you how to use your vinyl cutter and this screen printing with vinyl kit to make this t-shirt and tote bag. The first step to learning how to screen print is using the right supplies. This kit includes a screen printing frame, squeegee, black fabric ink, 3 sheets of vinyl, 3 sheets of transfer tape, parchment paper, and a craft stick. In addition to this, it's helpful to have a roll of painter's tape and of course your blank t-shirts, bags, or whatever you want to print on. Plus you will need an iron or a heat press. I'm going to be using my Cricut Maker to walk through this process in Cricut Design Space. If you have a Silhouette or Caesar brand machine, your program will look a little different, but the process will still be the same for you. We are in Cricut Design Space and I have picked out an image I want to use for my screen printing. This is image number M124061AE if you want to follow along with the same design. First, I'm going to size my design to the size that I want it printed on my shirt. For this design, I think 7 inches wide is a good size. Next, I'm going to add a square shape. This is going to be my weeding box, which is a box that goes around my design to make it easier to line up on my screen. I'm going to send it to the back. Once I have the box a little bit larger than my design, I'm going to grab both the design and the box and I'm going to align to the center. Now I know that my design is centered in this box and I'll be able to use the box to line it up on my screen and shirt. The last step is to attach the box and design so they will cut in one piece. We are ready to make it, and now we are going to make sure that we choose Mirror the Design, and I'm going to explain why this is helpful when we get into the next steps. I'm cutting this design on adhesive vinyl, so I'm going to choose the vinyl setting. Now we're going to load the Cricut mat into our Cricut Maker, and we're going to let it cut the design. Okay, I have my vinyl design cut on my Cricut, and the first thing I'm going to do is take it off of the mat. I have a little extra vinyl on the side that didn't get used, so I'm going to cut that off so I can save it. Now I'm going to start by taking off the outside of the box, and that leaves our weeding box. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to weed out the areas of the vinyl where we want ink to go through the screen and onto the shirt. So this is the opposite of how you would weed a heat transfer vinyl design. Okay, I have the design weeded. Remember, we mirrored the design, that's why it looks like this, and I'm going to show you why we did that. So the next step is we're going to transfer the design to our screen printing frame. Now in the kit that I mentioned, it comes with a sheet of transfer tape, which you can use. You can peel this off and use. I also sell this transfer tape on a roll. It's the same type of transfer tape. You can grab this on my website. So I'm just going to apply a couple rows to cover the design. And then once you have your transfer tape on your vinyl, you can use this Red Baron squeegee that comes with the kit and just use it to press that transfer tape on nicely. You want to smooth out any wrinkles or bubbles. And then we're just going to flip it over and pull the backing paper off. Okay, now this is the sticky side up, and we are going to flip our screen over and we're going to put the vinyl on the back of the screen. So this is why we mirrored the design, because we want to put it on the back of the screen. And I'm just going to eyeball the design to try and put it centered in my screen. If you wanted to get really accurate, you could use a ruler and measure it to make sure it's exact. I'm going to flip it over, and now I'm just going to press that vinyl onto the screen. And then flip it back over and take the transfer tape off. Now this is why I like using this particular transfer tape, or the one that comes in the kit, is that it really lets go of the vinyl nicely and allows it to stick to the screen. Sometimes other transfer tapes will make it difficult for the design to stay stuck to the screen. If you have any pieces that come up, just press them back down and pull back slowly. And now we have our design on our screen printing frame. Now, one last thing we need to do before we use this is that we need to tape off the area around our box, because we don't want any ink going through in those areas. So I'm going to flip it back over, and this is where I'm going to use my painter's tape. And I'm just going to cover up these exposed areas around the outside of the design. Okay, now you can see that the areas of the screen that are exposed are just the areas where we want the ink to go through the screen. So now we are ready to set up our shirt to screen print. Okay, for this step, you are going to want to use that piece of parchment paper that came in the kit, and you're going to take that parchment paper and put it on the inside of your shirt. And the reason we do this is that just in case any ink goes through the first layer of the shirt, you don't want to get the ink on the back of your shirt. So just make sure that your parchment paper is under the area of the shirt that you're going to print on. And you're going to take your frame and just line it up in the spot that you want the design to land on your shirt. So I'm just eyeballing this. I do have some other methods where I'm a little more accurate in lining it up, but I think that looks pretty good. So I'm going to use the black Speedball fabric ink. Okay, so I'm just going to take my fabric ink and I'm going to use this craft stick to spread out the ink across the top of my screen. Now you want to use a pretty generous amount here. We will be able to scoop up any extra ink at the end, so you want to make sure you have plenty of ink to work with. Next, grab your squeegee. The one included in the kit works for this, but I'm going to be using this rubber squeegee, which is a great upgrade if you're doing a lot of screen printing. I'm going to take the squeegee in one hand and hold the screen down with the other hand. And now I'm going to put a pretty good amount of pressure on the squeegee and pull that squeegee towards me. And then I'm going to pick up the squeegee and I'm going to start at the top again and grab a little more ink and do it one more time. I'm pressing pretty hard. And you can tell that I've made good coverage here. I don't have any areas of the design that are missing ink. So we are ready to see how it looks. Now I'm going to put my hand on the shirt to hold it down. I'm going to use the other hand to lift the screen. And there we go. We have a screen printed t-shirt. Now the really cool part about this process with screen printing is that you can reuse this screen over and over. So I'm going to set it to the side and I'm going to use the same screen to make a tote bag. So I'm going to grab another piece of parchment paper and stick it inside the bag. And then I'm going to grab my frame again and I'm just going to line it up on the bag. And I'm going to add a little more ink along the top. Okay, I'm going to take the same squeegee, same process. And then I'm going to hold the bag down and lift my screen. And there we go. We've made 2 prints out of this one design that we only had to weed one time. So you could continue using this screen over and over again to make, I've made over 200 prints with the same screen. So that's the wonderful part about screen printing, is that it's really cost effective. Once you've set up the screen, you can make tons of different things with this one screen. But when you are done using the screen, we want to be able to reuse this for another design. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scrape up any extra ink and save that back in my jar. And then I'm going to make sure my items are out of the way. And this part can get a little bit messy, so you want to make sure you have something to wipe your hands with afterwards. But what we're going to do is just take the tape and vinyl off the screen. So to get off these little pieces, I like to use a palette knife. You can also just pick them off with your fingers if you want. Okay, now that I've got all of the pieces off, I'm just going to throw this away. And I'm just going to grab a wet wipe for my hands. And then we're ready to take this to the sink and wash it. Okay, now we are at the sink. I have my screen in here, and I'm just going to use the sprayer attachment on my sink. This makes it really easy, and with the sprayer attachment, really you might be able to wash the screen with just water. If you have any areas of the screen where you might have some of the ink that won't come off, it's staining the screen, this won't hurt future screen prints if you want to leave it there, but if you want to get your screen back to brand new looking, I like using the Speedball Speed Clean, and I just squirt a little bit on, and I use a toothbrush and kind of rub it on there, and then I wash it off. And now I'm going to just set my screen over here to dry. And once it's dry, I'll be able to use it for another project. Also going to wash off my squeegee. In order to make this ink permanent and these items washable, you want to allow the ink to dry completely, and then we're going to heat press it. If you have time, you can allow this ink to air dry for 2 to 3 days is what Speedball recommends for their ink. But if you're like me and you don't have much time to wait for the ink to dry, you can use a heat gun or a fan to speed up the drying process. I'm going to use a heat gun for about a minute, and then I just check to see if it's dry. Once it feels good and dry, I'm going to use my heat press for the final cure. You have to cure fabric ink to make it permanent on your shirt. So I have my easy press set to 320 degrees, and I'm going to press it for 40 seconds. Just keep in mind that this drying time is going to be a little bit different for everyone depending on the room conditions you're in and how much circulation you're getting. So it's always smart to do some testing of your own before you make a bunch of shirts and sell them or give them away. Do a little bit of a test and see if your settings are working okay and that your designs are holding up okay in the wash. Now that my shirt is heat set, I am going to do the same process with the tote bag. And once both of these are heat pressed, they are ready to wash or wear right away. Now you know all the steps to successfully screen printing with vinyl. If you are running into issues or getting frustrated with the process, I have an online course that goes into more detail. The course includes lessons on troubleshooting common problems, as well as how to accurately line up your screen on your shirt and how to print with multiple colors. Links to my course can be found in the description of this video. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more videos about screen printing with vinyl.